Hello friends, I am George Makwana. In today's lecture, I am going to discuss with you gas chromatography technique. So the topics which are discussed in this unit are already given here. That is introduction, the technique of gas liquid chromatography, apparatus of gas liquid chromatography, carrier gas, injection port, column, solid inert support, the stationary liquid phase detector, some detectors like TCD, FID, ECD, and then the separation process theory and the principle of GLC. Some factors that affect on the separation or miscellaneous applications also. So without any delay, we start the discussion here. For further study, you can also refer the book that is the Instrumental Method of Chemical Analysis by P.K. Sharma. Now in introduction portion, you know that is chromatography is a technique that is used for separation, purification as well as for the identification of the component of a mixture. The chromatography technique that requires a solute undergo distribution between two phases. And you know in chromatography there are two phases. One is a stationary phase, that is a fixed. Okay, and another is a movable phase, that is a mobile phase. In gas chromatography, basically a separation technique in which the compound of a vaporized sample are separated and fractionated as a constituent of a partition between a mobile gaseous phase. That means in gas chromatography, mobile phase is gas and the stationary phase that is held in a column. Now the partition that may take place between the gas and liquid or gas or solid. The classification of gas chromatography. Okay, so according to the nature of stationary phase, gas chromatography may divide it into two parts, that is the gas solid chromatography and gas liquid chromatography. Their name suggests here gas solid chromatography, gas liquid chromatography. Here gas is a mobile phase. Okay, so the second term, that is solid and liquid, here that are stand for stationary phase. If gas solid chromatography is there, then solid is a stationary phase, while gas liquid chromatography, liquid is used as a stationary phase. Okay, so that is a basic difference between GSC and GLC. The technique of gas liquid chromatography, it is a long question in ASP University. 5 marks weightage of the question is that is the instrumentation of the gas liquid chromatography with neat and label diagram. Those are the component of the GC technique. Okay, the carrier gas inlet, the flow regulators, the chart recorder, the flow meters, the detector, that is the column, the sample injection system, and here is the input of the sample. Okay, that is put in oven, the whole assembly, and that part of the assembly is set at a thermostat system. That is a block diagram of GC. Here some points. And the main points are in this technique, the stream of carrier gas, that is mobile phase, okay, flows through the column. A sample is injected in the path of a carrier gas with that inlet of a sample very near to the head of the column. Then the vapor of that mixture entering the column along with the carrier gas, and the mixture pass through the column towards the outlet, that is towards the detector, as well as the then after the result are recorded in the readout devices. The component that is important for MCQ purpose, the component with longer retention time move slowly, while the component with shorter retention time move faster. Okay, that means the speed of that particular solid is depends on the retention time. Look at here, the longer retention time, then they move slowly in the column, while the shorter retention time move faster from the column and come out earlier. Okay, they come out from column earlier. The recorder notes that signal as a peak. Each component of a mixer gives one peak. That means if in your chromatogram there are three peaks are there, then it indicate in your sample mixer three component are present. Uh, the area under the peak represent the quantity of a compound. That means for quantitative analysis we can measure the area cover under the every peak. The position, yes, that is for qualitative analysis. The position of a peak identify the component. That means in a chromatogram, particular position of the peak give you qualitative analysis, while the area covered by that peak is give the quantitative analysis. So that is about the instrumentation. Okay, now carrier gas. So many carrier gas are used here. The most widely used carrier gas are hydrogen, helium, nitrogen, and air. But there are some disadvantages, some drawback of each and every gas, and because of that reason, generally they are helium is the most commonly used carrier gas. Look at what are the disadvantages. Hydrogen has a more advantage over compared to other gases, but it is dangerous to use. Okay, it is explosive in nature, so in many cases hydrogen is not used. Helium is the second best, but it is expensive. Nitrogen is inexpensive, but gives reduced sensitivity. And air is used only when oxygen is in the air, is useful to detector. Okay, so these are the some drawbacks, some advantages of all those carrier gases, but generally helium is used. Why? Because it has an excellent thermal conductivity, inerness, low density, and allows greater flow rates. So that line is also useful for MCQ purpose. Okay, why helium is generally used as a carrier gas in GC, and then A, B, C, D, 4 options are given to you. So these are in the options. Now hydrogen has a better thermal conductivity and lower density, but has the disadvantage that it may react with unsaturated compounds, and by that it may creates fire and explosive hazard. As I told you earlier, whenever you use hydrogen as a carrier gas, it is dangerous, it is explosion hazard is there, because and that's why it is not widely used. Okay, in next point, the important requirement of the gas. Okay, what are the most important requirement of any gas to behave like a carrier gas? It should be inert. That is point number one. Okay. Second, it should be suitable for the detector employ and the type of sample analyzed. It is all suitable for both sample as well as for detector. It should be readily available in high purity. Okay, cheaply available, readily available with high purity. It should be cheap. That is the second point. The next point, it should not cause the risk of fire or explosion hazard. So those are some important points. Keep in mind whenever you choose the carrier gas in gas chromatography technique. Short question, maybe it is asking short question also. Now for the injection part. The injection part in chromatography is placed just ahead the separation column. Okay, if you see that again in the block diagram. Okay, I will show you. Look at here, the sample injection part, it is put next to that the column, that is a column. Okay, so keep in mind that is the configuration of the component of a gas chromatography. First, that is a sample inlet, then sample injection system, the column, the detector, flow meter, and a readout device, recorder device. Okay, that is a carrier gas inlet, and that is a flow regulators that regulate the flow rate of a carrier gas. So we are here now. Okay, here that is. So the injection part in chromatography is placed just ahead the separation column. It is the device through which the sample is entered into the carrier gas stream. The temperature of that is such a way that the sample injected is vaporized immediately. The sample mixture uniformly in carrier gas without any decomposition. So because of that reason, the column and the detector is set at thermostat system to maintain the temperature, so that sample is immediately vaporized as well as uniformly mixed with the carrier gas and undergo decomposition. Okay, and now the next one, that is a liquid and gas are almost always injected by syringe through a silicon rubber diaphragm in the injection part. That is the process, the device by which you can inject this sample that is in a liquid or gaseous form with the help of a syringe. The liquid are introduced as a solution with syringe. The capacity is 0.1 to 100 microliter. those are important for MCQ purpose. If gases are there, gas tight syringe of 0.5 to 10 ml capacity can be used. Sample, that is 100 gram, may be used. The solid may be dissolved in a suitable solvent and then injected in a column, okay, as a solution. So that how you can inject the sample, that is in a gas, liquid or solid form. A soap bubble meter, 2 marks. Most important short question is a soap bubble meter, by which you can find out the flow rate of a carrier gas into the column. What is a soap bubble meter? Here, that is a kind of a column is here, burette is here, your gas inlet here, that is your burette, and that is a round bottom flask in which a soap solution is contained. Now we see the mechanism here. A soap bubble meter is a device which helps to adjust the flow rate of a carrier gas. As shown in figure, the rubber bulb contains soap solution, that is your rubber bulb, okay. That rubber bulb contains a soap solution which forms a film when comes in the path of a carrier gas. That means when a bubble of a soap is introduced into the burette, what happens? It create a thin film here, film of that soap solution. When you pass the carrier gas, that film is moved with the carrier gas, okay. And between any 2 points, that is already mentioned on that burette, if you uh, uh, if you measure, or you can say that if you start your stopwatch and record the time, that means the time taken by that thin film travel between any 2 point of burette. By that way you can easily find out the flow rate per second or flow rate per minute, and you convert that into minute, okay. The particularly with the help of a soap bubble meter. Also the film that is in comes in the contact with the path of a carrier gas. The film then travels in the direction of a flow of a carrier gas. The time taken by the film to travel between two mark is recorded, as I told you earlier. The flow rate is then calculated from this measurement, okay. So that is the function of that soap bubble meter. The inlet pressure pi can also be calculated, okay. Now column. A column is a heart of chromatography in so many exams, that is most important MCQ. Which component is a heart of chromatography? Column is a heart of chromatography, while detectors are eyes of chromatography, in which the separation is take place. Two type of column are generally used: a packed column and open tubular columns. You must remember those datas. The packed column, normally a 4 mm diameter tube of stainless steel, copper and cupro-nickel or glass are used. That is bent in a shape or coil or spiral shape. Sorry. That filled with a solid powder of high mass. Now, the support is commonly inert and non-active in separation processes. The interaction is considerable. The solute that interact with the solid support, okay. Generally we see in many reference book that the solid support that is used for hold the liquid stationary phase are inert in nature, but that is not possible. The solid inert support is always interact with the stationary phases, but it is negligible. But it is not negligible, it is considerable if the size of the sample is small. Whenever the sample size is very small, that interaction of solid support must be considerable. The weight of the liquid stationary phase is relatively less. Whenever the stationary phase, the mass of the stationary phase is less, in that case also the interaction between the solid support and the liquid stationary phase must be considerable. The liquid used as a stationary phase should have, okay, whenever you want to use liquid as a stationary phase, so keep some point in your mind. Number one, good solvent property for component of a mixture. Liquid should have a partition coefficient values different for different component. When you change the component, the partition coefficient value must be changed for that particular solvent. You know the partition coefficient, that is the concentration in organic phase by concentration in aqueous phase. That is the partition coefficient for the case of solvent extraction. It should have high thermal stability, it should have low vapor pressure at column temperature, that is critical temperature, and boiling point should about 200 degrees Celsius higher than critical temperature. It should have chemical inert nature towards the sample component, okay, not for solid support, but towards the sample component. So those are the point you must keep in mind. Open tubular column, OTC. Open tubular column is constructed of a glass or fused silica that with a 0.25 to 0.5 mm inner diameter, 30 to 40 meter in length. Okay, those are important for MCU purpose. The inner side is coated with a stationary phase of liquid. Thickness of the liquid film is kept between 0.2 to 0.5 micrometer. Okay, the increased amount of a stationary phase increase the loading capacity of column. Okay, that means you increase the amount of a stationary phase coated inside of the column, the loading capacity of column is also increased. Decrease the efficiency of column by increasing the retention time. Okay, efficiency of column is decreased by increasing the retention time. That whole statement is utilized for MCQ, true, false, fill in the blank purpose. Columns are operated at temperature 10 to 25 degree above the boiling point of a highest boiling sample component. Okay, that is like dissolve phenomena. Polar substances are better separated on a polar stationary phase. Non-polar substances are better separated on a non-polar stationary phase. That means dissolve. If the sample is a polar, stationary phase must be polar. If the sample is non-polar, stationary phase must be non-polar. So that is called dissolve phenomena. Some carrier gas used like nitrogen, helium, hydrogen. Selection of carrier gas depends upon the availability and purity of a gas and also upon the type of detector used. Now, the method of packing of the column in GLC. Okay, two methods are used, that is the solid method and the slurry method. But here, the solvent is allowed to vaporize. The stationary liquid is first dissolved in some volatile solvent. Okay, stationary phase dissolved in a solvent, then it mixed with solid support in an open container. Then the solvent is vaporized. So that what happens, the solid particles over which the liquid stationary phase is distributed uniformly and pack in column with tapping or vibrating. Okay, you can easily like you tap the column or with the vibrating of the column, the solid material can be filled in the particular column. Packing material is a porous bead of a copolymer of styrene and divinyl benzene. That is also important for MCQ purpose. Okay, conditioning of the column. Okay, prior to inject the sample, the column is first heat at 10 degree to 20 degree above the required critical temperature. Okay, I already discussed that point earlier in OTC, open tubular column. So that is called conditioning of the column. The carrier gas passing through the column flashes out any volatile impurities present into the column. When you, okay, what happens when you hit the column 10 to 20 degree above the critical temperature, the impurities that are already present in the column, when you pass the carrier gas, because of that high temperature, those impurities are flashes out, that means removed from the column, and that's why the column is clean for the analysis of the sample. That's why it is called conditioning of the column. Okay, that is removal of interferences or some impurities from the column. This may be carried out for a period of 6 to 12 hours. The continuous movement of pure carrier gas from the column at 10 to 20 degrees Celsius temperature that take place 6 to 12 hours. This is known as the conditioning of the column. The solid inert support. The main purpose of the solid support is to provide a support to thin and uniform film of a liquid phase. Okay, that is very easy. Inert support is used to support that liquid phase used as a stationary phase. Okay, whenever you want to use liquid as a stationary phase, that solid support held the liquid molecules on that the surface of the column. Some materials are powdered Teflon, aluminum, carborundum, microglass beads, Most common support is diatomaceous earth, which is commercially available in many forms such as silite, dicalite, chromosome W, chromosome P, C22. Those are the diatomaceous earth. Okay, the simple meaning of the diatomaceous earth, that means it is a like a porous material. You see the honeycomb. Okay, it's like a honeycomb. Okay, it have many pores in that surface of that material. So that kind of porous surface materials are known as a diatomaceous earth material that are bring from the surface of oceans. Its most important requirement of a solid supports are: number one, it should be porous and hence have a large surface area. It should consist of small, uniform and spherical particles. It should be capable of providing a good mechanical strength also. It cannot be broken by when you are applying the pressure past the carrier gas from it. It should be chemically inert at elevated temp. Elevated, that means higher. At some, when you elevate the temperature from some degree like 10 degree to 20 degree, it must be chemically inert, and it should be readily melted by the liquid phase to give a uniform coating. Those are some important point. Okay, it interaction with the solid is considerable when solid size is smaller and the liquid film is thinner, result in to the tailing of the peak. Okay, I already discussed that point also, that in a back column point the interaction is considerable when the sample size and the liquid size is very less. And because of that reason, whenever there was an interaction between a solid support and a sample, some extra peaks are observed in a chromatogram. Those extra peak with the sample peak are known as a tailing of the peaks. It can be minimized by treating the solid inner support with some reagent before use. Now, for example, diatomaceous earth hydrated silica is treated with salinizing agent like hexamethyl disiloxane (HMDS) before it is used as a solid support. The HMDS decrease the number of SiOH group as the latter is converted to SiO-Si groups. Okay, so here what happened? The hydrogen that are present in HMDS, hexamethyl disiloxane, they are replaced by methyl groups. Okay, the reaction is given here: SiOH, OSiOH. Okay, that is a diatomaceous earth. Then react with CSC2, Si2NH. What happened? They are combined with each other, and all those H are replaced by SiOCS3. Okay, SiCS3. Okay, then next, the stationary liquid phase. The most important requirement of a liquid phase are: it should be good solvent, number one. It should be thermally stable. It should be chemically inert towards the sample. It should be low volatile. Its boiling point should higher, that means 200 degrees Celsius above the critical temperature. The solvent power of the liquid phase should be different for different sample. Okay, all these points are also discussed earlier, where they are very easy. You must remember those points. Now, selection of proper liquid phase is based on try and error methods and also on the polarity of a liquid phase. You know, polar sample, polar liquid phase, non-polar sample, non-polar mobile phase. Sorry, not mobile phase, that is the stationary phase. Best separation may be affected when liquid phase is structurally similar to the compound being separated. Okay, separation of water and methanol, a semi-polar liquid phase is most suitable. A series of hydrocarbon can be separated by non-polar liquid phase. Non-polar solute like pentane, butane, propane can be separated by non-polar liquid phase. Okay? Like squalane, that is important MCQ. So those are the point. Okay, column thermostating. What is a column thermostat? Why it is necessary? It is necessary to control the column temperature to few tenth of a degree. Why? Temperature has been controlled by using, okay, how that temperature is controlled. It is very simple, by putting some bath, like circulating air baths, electrically heat metal blocks, some jackets that feed with vapors from the constant boiling point. Okay, that means that column and detectors are surrounded by some jacket, and from that jacket a vapor of a solvent is continuously flow, or some metal blocks are there surrounded that detector system. And when you electrically heat, when those blocks are electrically heat, the temperature of the block are rise up, and that rise in the temperature maintain the constant temperature of particular that assembly, that means column and detector system. Okay, that is a thermostating of a column. Boiling point of a sample and degree of separation achieved are two important factors upon which the optimum column temperature depends. The optimum resolution associated with the minimum temperature, important for MCQ purpose, that is called column thermostating. Sorry. Okay, the detectors are the eyes of gas chromatography. As I told you earlier, the detector used, the purpose of the detector is like some definite properties, like the response of the detector must be rapid, reproducible, and sensitive for low concentration. The response should be linear and uniform. Okay, whenever you choose the detector, you must keep those points in your mind. The time interval during which a peak passes the detector is usually 1 second or less. The concentration of a solid in a carrier gas is 1 few parts per thousand. That is a ppt. If the solid present in a carrier gas is in a ppt concentration, it must be easily detected with the help of detectors. Okay, the type of detectors that is in our syllabus: thermal conductivity detector (TCD), electron capture detector (ECD), cross section detector (CSD), argon ionization detector (AID), flame photo detector (FPD). Those are the detector used in gas chromatography. Okay, general requirement of those gas detectors, GC detectors, are high sensitivity, physically suitable, capable of operable up to maximum column temperature 350 degrees Celsius, ease of operation, no response to undesired compound that gives some error in the chromatogram with some tailing of the peak, response to the compound for which analysis is required. Okay, it must be response, give response to the analyte which is undergo analysis, output signal which is linear function of the concentration of sample in the data. That means for some range of the concentration, you must got the linear response with regard to the analyte, linear response extending to high concentration. Those are some points you must keep in mind whenever you choose the detector. Now I am going to discuss with you those detector one by one. First, a thermal conductivity detector. The diagram is given to you here. It is a battery. Okay, it is tungsten wires. Okay, they are then this assembly, the tungsten wire assembly, is act as a detector. That is your column. Okay, that is a column in which, that is a gas, carrier gas inlet, carrier gas outlet. The sample is in here from that point. That is a Wheatstone bridge circuit. That is a Wheatstone bridge circuit. Okay, that is attached with the attenuator. That is the amplifier or recorder. Okay, now TCD, thermal conductivity detector. The simple principle is the thermal conductivity of different gases are different. That is the basic principle of TCD detector. Thermal conductivity of different gas are different. Okay, the schematic diagram of TCD already I discussed with you. Okay, the two tungsten or platinum filaments are placed in a path of a carrier gas. One ahead the injection chamber, that is here. Okay, one that is ahead of the sample injection chamber. Second after the end of the column, that is here. after the end of the column. Okay, two tungsten or platinum wire are used. That block is known as detector. Okay, we are talking about that dotted block, look at here, that is known as a detector. Okay, it is heated electrically, that's why the battery is given there. These filaments are connected to Wheatstone bridge circuit, amplifier and recorder. Okay, as I show you earlier. Now what is the mechanism, how it works? The gas passing through the first coil is only a pure carrier gas. Okay, that is A. When what happened, the pure carrier gas when passing through the coil, it like hydrogen or helium, thermal conductivity is very high. The thermal conductivity of a pure gas is higher compared to the mixture of gas and sample. Keep in mind. Okay. Now, thermal conductivity is higher. Because of that reason, what happened? As a result, it absorbs more heat from the coil. Okay, and the gas passing through the second coil is a mixture of carrier gas and vapor of sample. Thermal conductivity of gaseous mixture is low. Because of that reason, it absorbs low heat. Okay, it absorbed by the heat absorbed by the gas from the second coil is relatively less. Okay, I will explain that point here. We are talking about this. In first case, what happened? Only a pure carrier gas is passing through the column. Now, suppose, for example, if your coils are already set at 100 degrees Celsius temperature. Okay, the temperature of the coil is now already 100 degree. When you pass pure carrier gas from that column, what happen? A thermal conductivity of a pure gas is very higher. Because of that reason, it absorbs more temperature from the column. That means if it absorbs 80% temperature, then after passing the carrier gas from the column, now what will be the temperature of the column? It is only 20 degree. Why? Because it sat at 100 degree. 80 degree temperature is absorbed by the pure gas. So now the temperature of the column is only 20 degree. But in case of second, that is now further okay, you raise the temperature of the column to 100 degree, that is in second case. Now pass the mixture of column and sample, not pure gas. Gas plus sample is passing through the column. The column is set at 100 degrees Celsius temperature, but thermal conductivity of that mixture is low. Because of that reason, it absorbs less energy from the column, for example 50 degrees Celsius. So that means after passing the mixture of gas and sample, your column has a higher temperature. Okay, that is 50 degree. Okay, don't be confused between that. Okay, that means now there was a difference in the temperature when you pass the pure gas and mixture of the gas. Okay, pure gas 20 degree, a mixture of the gas 50 degree. When you bifurcate, subtract from each other, you can easily find out the amount of the mixture. Okay, it is here. The temperature of a second coil will be relatively high. Okay, the temperature change between two coils will produce the change of a conductance. That is the important point. The change in a temperature when you pass pure gas, mixture of gas, that difference in the temperature will give you change in a conductance. This small change of conductance is amplified and recorded with the help of that attenuator amplifiers. Thermal conductivity detector, simple, rugged, inexpensive, accurate, non-destructive to the sample. That's why in most of gas chromatography, TCD detectors are used. For organic compound, it is useful. Also for inorganic compound. Flame ionization detector. That is a metal grill. Okay, first of all I discussed that diagram with you. That is a metal grill, that is positive terminal, that are jet block, that has negative terminals, that is a inlet between these two electrodes. Okay, that is the column effluent. Okay, column effluent, that means the mixture of gas and sample that pass through the column, the second end of the column. That mixture is known as a column effluent. That is a hydrogen gas, that is the air. That means air plus hydrogen plus column effluent, three inlets are there. Okay, now that is connected with the battery here, and that is to the amplifier and recorder. Now the working: most organic compound are readily pyrolyzed when introduced in a hydrogen and oxygen flame. That is a basic principle of flame ionization detector. Most of the organic compound are undergo ionization when you provide heat. Okay, pyrolyze, that means decomposition, ionization in presence of heat. Okay, that means here a mixture of hydrogen and oxygen gives you flame, gives you heat. That is air plus hydrogen. When they mix together, they produce heat, they produce flame. And when you introduce your column effluent in that flame particular, they undergo ionization. And you know, in ionization there was a production of ions and electrons. Okay, so those ions, the ions which are produced because of that pyrolysis, what happened, those ions are collected at charged electrodes, and resulting current, when they attracted towards the electrode, what happened, they attract them, and because of that reason there was a formation of current. That current is measured by electrometers amplifier. That is a basic principle of flame ionization detector. The intermediate of a combustion process are the characteristic property of a sample. Okay, the column effluent and H2 gas mixture allowed to burn at the jet. As I told you earlier, column effluent, hydrogen, air are burned here at a negative terminal. It is a negative terminal. And inert metal grill, that is a metal grill, that is anode, act as an anode, that is a positive terminal. The change in current due to the charge particle produced in amplifier and recorder. Okay, the detection is carried out on the following fact, that change in current is directly proportional to number of ion produced. Okay, if one ion is produced, one electron is there, so there is increase in one electron. Two ions are there, then it gives two electrons, then that is called two electrons are responsible for change in current. And the number of ion are produced is number of reduced carbon atom. Okay, this is often used for quantitative and qualitative analysis of organic compound. FID is not used for hydrogen gas, O2, N2, SiCl. Those are the examples for which FID cannot be used. Keep in mind. Electron capture detector. The electron capture detector or electron affinity, affinity means attraction. Okay, electron capture or electron attraction affinity detectors operates on the basis of differential electron absorption by molecule or functional group of a molecule. So, okay, that is a diagram. It is a cathode, that is an anode, then it is a column effluent, that is enters here, that is a photoemittive surfaces here. Okay, as shown in figure, a cathode is a radioactive beta emitter. Okay, that is your cathode. It is coated with some beta emitted materials which emits the electrons when you apply current. Anode is a wire screen, that is a wire screen. Sorry, my mistake. Those are your cathodes. Okay, that black blocks are your cathode. They are radioactive beta emitters which emit the electrons, and that is your anode is a wire screen. Okay, it acts as an anode which attract the electrons, capture the electrons. The column effluent is allowed to pass through between two electrodes. Here the carrier gas molecule absorb the energy from electrons and get excited. Okay, when you pass the carrier gas, they absorb the energy, they undergo excitation. These excited molecules pass the energy to the sample molecule. Okay, what happened? The excited carrier gas molecule collide with the sample molecule, and they pass the energy to the sample molecule, and because of that reason now sample molecule are undergo excitation, sample molecule by collision. The sample molecule then dissociate. Now sample molecule is undergo dissociate, and you know, when they undergo dissociation, they release the electrons, dissociate into ions, and change in the current values observed. Okay, when it undergo dissociation, it gives electron. Those electrons are captured by this anode. and that give you the value of current, change in the current value. That means ECD and FID, the phenomenon is same, change in current. The quantitative and qualitative study of sample molecule is possible from the measurement of change in a current. Where it use, most important MCQ, used to determine the percentage of halogenated pesticide in the environment. ECD is most frequently used for detection of measurement of trace environmental pollutants. It is used for detection of pesticides. Okay, most important MCQ. A flame photometric detector as shown in figure, look at here, that is hydrogen gas is here, air plus fuel, and that is a column effluent. All three components are mixed here at the flame head, and that is your photo detector. Okay, PMT, photo multiplier tube is there, is set in such a way that it is directly in front of the flame. That means when in column effluent, a flame photometer is work on the basic principle of a flame test. If sodium is present in a column effluent and if burned in the flame, you know, golden yellow flame is observed. Okay, that is in place of PMT. PMT measure the intensity of that particular flame. Look at here. The burning of the column effluent and hydrogen mixture in presence of air, the photomultiplier is fixed in such a way that it can see only the upper part of the flame. Look at here, it only see the upper part of the flame. Hence, it only luminous emission from the flame produced, it is detected here. Okay, if there is any luminescence detected in produced in the flame, it is easily detected by photomultiplier tube. Such detectors are normally used to identify the quality and quantity of heavy metals like iron, lead, tin, etc. in organometallic compounds. Okay, so that is all about gas chromatography. Those are also important for MCQ purpose. After watching this video, if you like my video, then don't forget to hit the like button as well as to subscribe my channel. In next video, I am going to discuss with you a second technique that is called HPLC, high performance or pressure liquid chromatography technique. Till then, thank you for watching. Have a nice day.